Hi, folks. How is everybody doing? A lot is going on. A lot is going on right now in Washington D.C. As we are speaking, there is a debate ongoing in the U.S. Senate with regards to President Trump's so-called big beautiful bill. This is the bill that is at the heart of the disagreements and the feud between President Trump and Elon Musk. And I've been thinking about this bill for quite some time. And, you know, I love the United States of America. Everybody who knows me and who is in my life is aware of that. Though my feelings for the United States have sort of cooled off in the past year or so because of several issues and things that the United States is engaged in. But I still love the United States. I still think that the United States is the best hope that we have in the world. And I shudder at the thought that when China becomes number one in the world, which it seems it's going to happen based on the actions of the United States lawmakers and presidents. I've been thinking about these days about how empires fall, in terms of what happens, what are the conditions and the environment that precipitates the fall of an empire, any empire. Many empires who were very strong in the past came, they ruled the world, and they fell. I mean, we can go back as far as the Roman Empire, which ran all of the known free world right now, all of Europe and parts of Asia. It was vast. And there were empires like the Greek Empire, there were empires like the Babylonian Empire, further back, Persian Empire. And most recently, there was the empire of the British Empire, which was a global empire, very similar to what the United States have, though different in a manner of saying that the British Empire was actually the head colonies, actual colonies. The United States has some de facto colonies, but its power is not like the one of the British Empire, but it's very similar and it's more widespread and global in its scope. And I'd like to say that starting in around 40 years ago, the United States started engaging in policy actions and spending habits that were destructive and harmful to itself. And many people have warned the US about these actions repeatedly, but it doesn't seem as if there has been any change or a willingness to change with regards to this. We're looking at this so-called big beautiful bill, which I do happen to oppose, by the way, is that the United States will spend itself into oblivion. And by the time the American people have realized what they have done, the United States at that time will probably be number 4, number 5 in the world. The way that things are going, the United States will be overtaken by China and it will be overtaken by India. And it's even likely that they will be overtaken also by Japan and maybe Germany. And the United States will get to a place where it is number 4 or number 5 in the world, both in the size of its military and in the size of its economy. And as soon as the United States is no longer number 1 in the world, even if it's only behind China in terms of the size of the economy and the size of the military, it will start making a lot more noise in these global places like the UN, because no one will be taking the United States seriously. Because people take you seriously in as much as you are powerful, and in as much as they are afraid of you more than they are afraid of other people. And it's not the issue of that, no, we have great values that everyone wants. No, it's not that. It's just a matter of whether people are afraid of you or not. Vis-a-vis that, are they afraid of someone else more compared to being afraid of you? And if there's no one else that they're afraid of compared to you, then they'll mostly line up and do what you want. And that is becoming less and less so, as we have seen in terms of how the world split almost in half when the US and NATO partners were declaring war on Ukraine, and most of the developing world just sided with Russia in the Ukraine versus Ukraine and NATO on one side and Russia on the other side war. And even on the issue of the Palestinian issue with the genocide that they are suffering in the hands of Israel, the world is no longer uniformly just like following what the United States is doing. You know, when President Trump in 2017 signed that law of tax cut law, I supported that law. I think it was great. It created many jobs, but I disagreed with the increase in spending that subsequently followed that. I don't understand why they increased spending. Because in the year 2018, the United States collected more revenue than it did from 2017, because there were more people who were working and there were more people who were paying taxes. But the deficit increased because they increased spending, especially military spending. And right now, with this bill that is being debated in the US Senate right now, they are also proposing increases in military spending. The low estimate is $150 billion and the high estimate is $200 billion. Why is this increase necessary? Why is it necessary? That is to say that the US will have $1 trillion being spent just on the military. Why? Why? You are already spending more than the top 15 people who are big military spenders in the world. Why do you need more money for this? Let me tell you something, what's going to happen. In the next 20 to 30 years, China will become the biggest economy in the world. And then and then 20 years after that, maybe you're saying the next 50 years, China will become the biggest military in the world. That is what will happen if the United States continue in this fashion. Because the level of debt, already now we have 2 out of 3 of the rating agencies who rate government bonds in terms of their safety and security, from AAA to, I think it's AA minus or something, because of the high level of indebtedness that the United States is, to say that these treasury bonds now are actually, treasury securities are actually not as safe as they were. We are actually entering into a space where the US could have a genuine possibility of not being able to meet its obligations. Things are actually very bad. But you have President Trump busy bullying people like Tom Tillis who disagree with his view, saying that he's going to support a primary challenge on him, which is a bad idea, because North Carolina is a purple state that is leaning more and more towards being blue. And if you don't have an incumbent running for that seat, there is a huge chance that the Democrats will win that seat. So you're basically having Rand Paul being the lone voice in the wilderness fighting against the self-destruction button that the United States has been engaged in the past 20 years. When will it stop? Everybody who knows me knows that I support low taxes, tax cuts, and all of those things. But why this increased government spending? It would make sense for me if you cut taxes, and that goes together with at the same time right now cutting down government spending, starting with military spending, and also going into the issue of the black budgets of the CIA and institutions like that. Why are you spending so much money that you do not have? Why? Why? And what value are you getting from all of the spend? Because each time you are in a military pursuit, you are losing. What did you achieve in Iraq? What did you achieve in Afghanistan? Like, the only time that the US was able to actually get some victory in Syria is after Russia left Syria to go fight that war in Ukraine. But other than that, Russia had actually defeated the US completely in Syria. So there hasn't been a war that the US has won in the past 30 years. But you continue to spend more and more money. Why? What is the purpose of it? What is the benefit of it to the normal taxpayer? That's really the question that I would like to know. And is this really a good idea to indebt generations to come, 3 or 4, 5 generations that have to bear this burden of so much debt? Is it worth it? Yeah, so a lot of us, when we're looking at that, then we look in terms of how you need to diversify where you have your business. You might have business in the US, and you might have to put some of your money and some of your investments in Europe and the Middle East and Asia and Africa and South America to protect yourselves from actually not with the US no longer being a safe environment in terms of investment, because the winter is coming for the United States. Economically speaking, winter is coming. And so fund managers, investment managers are looking at that as well, and they are moving funds to places that are safer, that have higher returns, like South America, like the Middle East, like Asia. Because what's happening in the United States is just simply untenable. And the question for me is, why are you doing this? You are hurting yourselves. What are you doing? Why? Yeah, let me know, folks, what you think. The comments below.